Welcome to your 10-Minute Manager Toolkit. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the most important thing, what people want. And I'm putting this out there for you to think about because it's easy to lose track of this stuff. It's easy to get fixated on little things. It's easy to think about, do I need to be paying bonuses? Do I need to be providing fruit bowls? Do I need to be lavishing complicated leave structures? As long as we can keep our eye on the prize of what people want and giving them what they want to keep them on board, then we know what's important and what's not as important. So let's talk about that. Let's go. The title of this podcast is promising you a lot. It's promising you the answers to everything. What do people want? If only it were that simple. This is actually based on theory. If you look at Maslow, if you look at Aldefers, if you look at a lot of motivation theory, they all say the same thing. There's different schools. There's McClellan's who divides things into hygiene and motivators. But roughly speaking, the three things that people want, they want security, belonging, and purpose. Done. Tick. Less than a minute. Okay, let's talk that through in a work sense. As an employer, if you give people what they want, then they will stay. People leave because they want something. People don't leave on a whim. They leave because they want, and they are looking elsewhere, and that elsewhere is going to give them what they want. Now, that doesn't mean that you'll never have turnover, but I can at least answer the question for you, what do people want? So let's run through them. First, let's talk about security. That is the most straightforward. That is the easiest one. What people want is a certainty that what they have is safe from external threats, that it can be relied upon, and that they are providing shelter and security and food for themselves and for the people that rely upon them. To keep things really simple, this is a regular paycheck. To keep your staff happy, to keep them engaged and content, not necessarily enthused, but to keep them okay from a money point of view, you need to provide them with a reasonable wage that's enough to pay for what they have and what they would reasonably like to have. And that is regular, that is consistent, that is 40 hours, that is 20 hours, whatever they need, they can rely upon and have a sense of security about that. So to keep things really simple, this is the money side of the equation. You are providing people with security, with a regular paycheck that they think is fair and they could not reasonably and easily get elsewhere. Secondly, a sense of purpose. This is slightly complex, but let's keep it simple. People want to feel a certain purpose with the work that they do. If you gave someone a shovel and a piece of land and said, right, in the morning you dig a hole, in the afternoon you fill it back up again, and I'll pay you for it, they're not going to be happy, are they? Because the work that they are doing is pointless and irrelevant, and it's hardwired into our brain is a want for what we are doing to be of benefit somewhere to something that is progressing the welfare of the tribe that we are in. That's a very sort of esoteric, broad and vague idea, but that's something that we have. We want the work to actually contribute something somewhere. And everybody finds it within their own work. Even sanitation workers, even debt collectors, even people who you could easily look at and go, that's really unpleasant and difficult work, will find some sense of purpose and justification in it. A debt collector, bailiff who goes around and stands in someone's living room until they write them a check to pay off a debt, will feel that they are doing something for a purpose. They will find meaning, even though that could be something we would hate to do ourselves or see as unpleasant. So there is intrinsic value in the work. What does that mean for you as a manager? You've got to open up that pathway for that person to find work that they find interesting. What is it about your branch of medicine? What is it about your type of work that makes people think, I've done good by someone by doing this? Doesn't matter if it's repetitive, doesn't matter if it's something that they've done before. They will find value. You've got to make it easy, or you've got to remind them of it, or you've got to show appreciation. People will find value, and we need to help them find value in the work. They will find it themselves. All we do here is not put up roadblocks. Third thing, connection and belonging. Love fits in this category, but no one's expecting love in the workplace. Maybe versions of. Anyway, what this means is that people want social connections. They want to connect and engage and to like people and to be liked and be relied upon and to share and to engage with other people. Some people want a lot, some people want a little, but we are social animals. We are tribal animals. We form groups and interconnection and interreliance upon each other. And if you put a human on a desert island, they will struggle. In the same way that if you put a chicken by itself, it's not happy because chickens are social animals. We are social creatures. We are pack animals. We like to be together. We need to feel those connections. What can you do about this? Funnily enough, not much. And I say that because a lot of businesses get obsessed with this sort of stuff. There's a lot of focus around culture. We've got to build a meaningful culture. We've got to build a togetherness culture. And you can do that and you can facilitate that, but you can't manufacture that. People will make friendships regardless of whether or not you're there, or they will not make friendships regardless of how much you prompt them. There's actually very little that the employer can practically do in this space. Now, there is a really interesting field of study around workplace design and how structures of interiors and buildings can facilitate or inhibit social connection and interactivity. But that's a whole separate field. It's really interesting, but we just don't have time to talk about that. This is your takeaway on this one. Encourage and allow to happen. You can open the gates for people to find these connections, or possibly they won't have those connections. There are barriers that will occur. They can be accidental or unintentional barriers, or there can be unavoidable barriers. One of the interesting things in this field is working from home, less common in the medical field, but in other fields, people are increasingly finding the less that people are all working in the same workspace, the less that they are having social connections. But that's a separate story. But that is a good example of how businesses and organizations can accidentally inhibit social connection, that love and belonging that humans need. Now, you might have sensed a certain amount of impatience in my voice on this one. Look, let's just get to what you actually need to know. And in part, that is because I feel like I am debating the straw men, that I am trying to push against some of the things that you might be thinking you ought to be doing. There is a lot of fluff. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of chatter about engagement and people trying to find value and surveys and trying to build cultures. To be very skeptical about, there's a risk of people trying to sell you a product and you not knowing what's right, trying to cut the wheat from the chaff and asking yourself, do I need to be listening to it? So I can't talk about the specific of what you might be hearing, but if you do want to keep your eyes on the prize, you need to know what the prize is. And it's this simple. Pay people enough so that they're content and make it easier for them to find value in their work and connection with their co-workers. Easy as that. Thank you for listening. As always, have a look at our website, Pragmatic HRM, for the courses that we offer, the services that we can provide, and how we can help you. There's lots of different ways in which we can upscale you and how you can be a better manager. If not a problem. I'll catch you on our next podcast. Thanks.